Hey, Battle Bill, here with another video, and today we're getting some more Season 6 Ultra League Premier Cup Go Battle League battles. Alright, I made the decision. I purchased the Mr. Rime ticket. Specifically for content purposes, I wanted to showcase Mr. Rime, just like a lot of other content creators are definitely going to be doing on this platform and on Twitch. And I highly recommend you check out all the battles that are featuring Mr. Rime so that you know if you didn't make that purchase to get it, when it comes out free, when it comes out for free, because it will come out for free. That's always what happens with these kind of Pokemon. Because honestly, the Mr. Rime ticket was not the best buy. It was pretty controversial. I'm not here to get into those details though. You'll find out through all these videos that are going to come out if this is something worth trying to make for Ultra League or even Great League, and if it's going to have any play. And hopefully all the content creators that put out content and videos on Mr. Rime can give you a clear answer on that. Now, Mr. Rime actually has an interesting moveset. It has a quick move of Confusion with charge moves of Icy Wind and Psychic. And anything with the charge move of Icy Wind is going to have some sort of play in any type of PvP meta. Getting into this first match, my opponent actually swaps out immediately, and I think it's because they saw the ice typing. Maybe they assumed my quick move was an ice move, because Mr. Rime does get access to Ice Shard also as a quick move, and the simulations are pretty close. And you can go either or with Ice Shard or Confusion, depending on the meta, depending on the league. Now, the main reasoning behind why I went with Confusion is because Mr. Rime is an Ice and Psychic type, which means it's going to take neutral from fighting damage, but I like my Psychic types to be able to beat fighting types. I did say fighting types it takes neutral damage from, right? I hope I said that. But regardless, I like my Psychic types to be able to beat fighters. So in this situation, obviously I'm not going up against a fighter. They swap in the Kingdra, and I decided to stay in because I'm like, that's an even better matchup for me considering I'm running Confusion. So I was able to destroy that Kingdra. They come in with their Kanto Muck, which I respect that spice. And I over-farmed there because I was debating if I want to go with the Icy Wind or the Psychic. So I decided to commit the shield here because this is a Mr. Rime feature. Plus, I'm feeling pretty good in this situation. And then they swap in the Drift Bloom, which was questionable because they knew I was going to get to another charge move, and they have to shield that Icy Wind regardless. And then I misclick. I meant to go into my clear counter for Alolan Muck, for a Drift Bloom, which would be Alolan Muck, which is the main reason why I stayed in with Mr. Rime against that Kingdra. And I, using a new team, forgot where I positioned my Pokemon for my swaps. So I ended up going into Machamp here. Thankfully, this is a no-shield situation, and I'm going to be able to outpace the Drift Bloom to its charge moves so I can get off both these Rock Slides and take it out, and Machamp essentially counters in the no-shield. But, yeah, definitely want Alolan Muck on Drift Bloom in these kinds of situations. So keep that in mind. Slight misplay on my part, but Mr. Rime put in a lot of work here. Now, I feel like a lot of other new PvP Pokemon, not the tankiest, but you saw how much damage it can do in the right situations. And let's go over the team comp briefly. So Mr. Rime, being a Psychic and Ice type, is going to be weak to Steel. It's going to be weak to Fire. It's going to be weak to Ghost. It's going to be weak to Dark. I'm probably missing some typings in there, but those are the main ones I want to focus on trying to cover while putting this team of 3 together. Now, Machamp is there because it'll beat the Steel types that are going to be an issue for me. Alolan Muck is there to beat the Ghost types that are going to be a problem for me and go up against any potential other Dark types. And plus, Machamp would be there to go up against those Dark types also. And then the Fire types, I don't have like an extreme advantage over, but neither Alolan Muck or Machamp are weak to Fire types, so it makes for good team balance. Getting into the second match, I have Mr. Rime up against Lapras, and in the simulations, if you check PvPoke, Mr. Rime wins this match pretty well, or pretty like nicely. I don't know how it wins it with a good chunk of health, but you have to play it a certain way. You have to actually bait, and I didn't know that going into this match. This is me just like checking the simulations, putting a team together, and just jumping into Go Battle League battles. You actually need to bait an Icy Wind, which is very risky, considering Icy Wind's not going to do any damage to a Lapras, and then you need to land the Psychic in order to win this out in like the even shielding scenarios. So what I decided to do here is I just go double Psychic, because my opponent maybe knew this matchup, and props to them for that. But I was like, this is a Mr. Rime feature. I need to land one of these Psychics, and I'm going to commit this shield here, and I'm going to Confusion down your Lapras, have some energy for whatever comes in, and even though you have shield advantage here, I won lead, and I'm going to get off this charge move. And this charge move is going to be pretty big, because they come in with the Charizard here, and I'm going to be able to throw this Icy Wind, which is going to deal some neutral damage, and at least debuff them. So I unfortunately don't get that Confusion through. I'm going to come into Alolan Muck, because a debuff Charizard against Alolan Muck, even though I don't have shields, isn't the most worrisome thing. They immediately swap into Tangrowth, and honestly, I was probably better off staying in there with Alolan Muck, but I swapped into Machamp, one, out of just habit. You see a swap, so I swap. And two, Machamp doesn't have a bad matchup up against Tangrowth either, and I would prefer my Machamp on the Tangrowth than on the Charizard, because they have a shield, and it's Machamp beating a Charizard very reliant on landing that Rock Slide, and I didn't want to leave anything to chance here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overfarm, and I know they're like pretty much at another charge move, so I'm going to throw this Cross Chop and undercharge it because I actually want to leave them alive and I want them to take me out. So I actually, put a little like 200 IQ into this play that I make right here because I want to now farm the Tangrowth down. Since that Charizard is no longer debuffed, I'm going to need a bit of an energy advantage so I can land 2 Dark Pulses here and not get Blast Burned and Dragon Clawed, which would take me out at the current health range that I'm at because those Blast Burns from Charizard hurt a lot. So I'm getting off the first Dark Pulse. I'm almost at the second one. I'm 1 Snarl away. I get their shields. They're going to get off their charge move. Thankfully, I was able to get a Snarl through. This will be a Blast Burn, and we'll see how much damage it does to a Alolan Muck. Puts Alolan Muck in the red. A Dragon Claw would definitely take me out. They even snuck through a Fire Spin. So that play was huge, making sure I got a little bit of extra energy on Alolan Muck so that I can win out this second match. So just to keep in mind as I continue talking through these battles, I did 2 sets with Mr. Rime, and it definitely has its weaknesses. I want to feature specifically on its strengths because it's a new Pokemon. I will obviously talk about its weaknesses. You'll see them as we go on. Like this type of lead. This is a poor lead, and I need to swap out immediately. I misclick and throw a Confusion, and then I swap into a Alolan Muck. I did not want to go immediately into the hard counter because if an opponent's running an Obstagoon, they're most likely going to have something to back it up that would counter it. Now, what I found interesting here is they must not have a great counter for Alolan Muck. So I'm just going to go straight Sludge Wave here because I could either technically win out the situation or get their shields. And getting their shields will definitely be helpful if I can get a shield advantage and have a Machamp or Mr. Rime with some shields against whatever they potentially have in the back. Also, what I'm being told here by them not swapping out is they probably do have another counter for my Mr. Rime in the back, so I do have to be very wary of that. So going for a second Sludge Wave here. Honestly, I wasn't expecting them to shield this. They did, so I was like, okay, you want to win this out, by all means. I know I need another Sludge Wave and Dark Pulse to take you out, so I'm just going to let your Obstagoon actually beat me. And I was like, I don't want to get countered down, though, so I swap into Machamp, and now that I got their shields, even though Charizard on Machamp, especially because that Charizard had either Wing Attack or Air Slash, I can never tell the difference between those quick moves. It doesn't matter. They don't have any shields. So Rock Slide's going to one-shot it and put me in a great situation. They then come in with Venusaur, and I'm just going to throw this Rock Slide, get off as much damage as I can, and this isn't going to take it out, but I have Mr. Rime with a shield and confusion damage, which will be super effective against this Venusaur. Plus, I have a Alolan Muck, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just going to come into Mr. Rime, though, because Mr. Rime has full health, whereas Alolan Muck did not have full health, and there's no reason to let myself potentially get farmed down. So another potential weakness of Mr. Rime, you're not going to really see it here because I ended up confusing it down, is that it is a very glassy Pokemon. It's one of those, glass canny types, but it's not it's in the range where it's not the glassiest of glass cannons, so it's also not doing the most damage. Its moves hit hard, but like they're not doing Shadow Machamp type damage. I guess that's the best way to explain it. My opponent ends up getting a boost there, and I don't think that boost is making a difference, so I think they ended up quitting after that, which was quite the play. They definitely could have countered. I would have outpaced them and gotten to this Icy Wind before they got to the next Night Slash, and I also don't know if a Night Slash would have taken me out this health between their counters and Night Slash. I don't know. We ended up getting lag, so it could have also been lag, but that was a weird situation to end the match on. The boost might have been their one win condition, but outside of that, I had that match and played it as well as I should have, and kind of felt like I deserved the win. I'm running Mr. Rime. It would be unfortunate if they lagged out. They also could just rage quit at the end, but who rage quits after a boost? I don't know. It was a weird situation. You're almost really never going to be throwing the Psychics with Mr. Rime, at least if you're running it. Oh, no, I just lied. I just completely lied. Yes, you are. I was trying to think of more information on it while we waited for this next battle. You definitely need the Psychic, specifically for that Lapras matchup if you want to be able to beat it. So, never mind. Ignore that last comment. Getting into this fourth match of the set, we're going up against a Charizard, but I stay in. I've learned my lesson because everybody is running Charizard with different movesets. Some people got Fire Spin, some people got Dragon Breath, some people got Wing Attack, some people got Air Slash. So I'm just like, I'll take a Fire Spin and then swap. They end up having Dragon Breath, and this is a matchup that Mr. Rime can actually win now, especially because I just called that Blast Burn. Me calling that Blast Burn is huge. I'm going to Confusion the heck out of it. They're also debuffed, so I know if they outpace me to the next charge move, this has to be a Dragon Claw, and it will not take out my Mr. Rime. So I'm going to let this come through. It puts me in the red. I just get to another Icy Wind, they decide to swap. A very good swap on their end, because it saves them from potentially even either using a shield or letting their Charizard die, because it caught an Ice Shard on their Empoleon, but now their Empoleon is switch locked. But they were losing out. I mean, unless they decided to commit both shields, they were losing out that lead, and I was probably going to line up Machamp with Empoleon either way. And I threw as quickly as possible because I didn't want to have to worry about using a shield for a potential Drill Peck coming from the Empoleon. Even if it doesn't necessarily one-shot Machamp, I don't really know for sure because I haven't really seen it. I want to keep my Machamp alive just because of the fact that I have a shield and it put in a lot of work against that Empoleon, and we don't know what their last Pokemon is. Ends up being an Excavalier, and me keeping my Machamp alive is huge here because a Alolan Muck up against Excavalier would not have been a great matchup. I would have been able to spam some Dark Pulses, but these Drill Runs and this area is going to be super effective against Machamp, but they most likely also have Drill Run, which would have been super effective against my Alolan Muck. I overfarmed there, tempted to just counter down, but I'm like, you know what, let me not get greedy. I'm going to throw, take out the Excavalier. They're going to come back in with Charizard. I swap into a Alolan Muck immediately, just because I don't want them to farm down my Machamp. I'm going to get off this Dark Pulse here, but I am slightly worried. This ends up being super close because of the fact they're running Dragon Breath. That quick move Dragon Breath damage is being very oppressive to my Alolan Muck, and they're going to get to this Blast Burn here. And we saw it in one of the other matches how much a Blast Burn does. It gets me really low. Now, Fire Spins, I wouldn't be that worried at this health range. Dragon Breaths, I am worried because it took me out. I go into Mr. Rime, gets a Confusion through, survives with 1 HP, and clutches that match. Machamp might have been able to counter it down, but either way, Machamp was almost dead too, and I was very worried about the Dragon Breaths there. So again, I don't know if I think I said this earlier, I did 2 sets. Just some notes to take away from Mr. Rime, because I don't like to make these videos super long, and I know you definitely want to see the highlights of it. It definitely has a niche in the Ultra Premier meta, especially with all the fighters. It does well against literally every fighter can go up against because of the fact that it's running Confusion. My opponent swaps into a Machamp there, a Snorlax there, so I match it with my Machamp. I would recommend an Ultra League Premier running Confusion. In other metas, you'll want Ice Shard. It really depends on how heavily dominated the meta is with fighters in it. Mr. Rime is pretty quick to the Icy Winds, definitely a strength of it. Can handle certain moves being thrown at it. Like I said, it's not like the glassiest of glass cannons, but it has some slight bulk to it. It's a very in-between Pokemon. And if you look at its simulations and its wins on PvPoke, it definitely core breaks. It beats some very interesting Pokemon. Like, when we first started the Ultra League Premier meta, and we were getting used to what was going to be run and what was going to be meta, and everybody was running Lapras and Venusaur, and the main core breaker for that was Excavalier. Well, Mr. Rime is actually a core breaker for that also. We talked about the Lapras matchup, but Mr. Rime can beat Lapras. So, and obviously because of Venusaur's poison typing, if you're running Confusion, Mr. Rime is going to beat Venusaur also. So, I think it definitely is a mainstay. This might not be the best team to run with it. My team building skills aren't exactly A1 100%, but I put together some solid wins, and if I wasn't getting hard countered, the matches were definitely close. So I would maybe recommend trying out this team with Mr. Rime if you have one, you want to see what you can do with it. The 2 mods behind it definitely cover Mr. Rime's weakness as well, and then Alolan Muck is a solid save swap with Machamp being a very good closer. I wouldn't recommend the Shadow version just because Mr. Rime and Alolan Muck aren't the bulkiest. Alolan Muck is a bit of a bulky mon, but just the combination of the two, they aren't the bulkiest. So you want to just save some defense and keep the Machamp. It's doing enough damage as a regular Machamp, so just keep that in mind if you're going to use this team comp. You could try Shadow Machamp, especially because you're using it in the closer role. Maybe in endgame scenarios, that extra damage makes a huge difference. Thankfully there, my Alolan Muck, with its little bit of extra bulk, survives that Mud Bomb. I get off this Dark Pulse, and that takes out their Toxicroak. They come back in with their Lapras. I have a shield advantage, and I almost got very overconfident here. I almost didn't shield this move. It ended up being a Skull Bash, and thankfully I did because my Alolan Muck's practically dead, and that Skull Bash would have either put me at 1 HP or taken me out. So I was like, I need to utilize and showcase Mr. Rime to the best of his abilities. The last thing I want is my last battle, me being overconfident and getting Skull Bash to lose a match. But overall, that's five wins. But in the 2 sets I did, I went 5-5, so pretty neutral. Again, out of the losses, most of them were straight hard counters, and that's bound to happen with any team of 3 that you're going to use. It wasn't anything where I felt Mr. Rime was holding me back. So honestly, if you purchase the ticket and have your Mr. Mime or Mr. Rime or Galarian Mr. Mime, and you have the candies because we've gotten regular Mr. Mimes from previous events, and you can use those candies to power up your Mr. Rhymes. I think I'd recommend testing it out. It definitely has a niche in the Ultra League Premier Cup meta. Let me know your thoughts on the team comp, and let me know your thoughts on Mr. Rhyme. You can tell me how you felt about the event. I know we were all very upset about it. Honestly, I was very close to not purchasing a ticket for this event, but then I remembered I put out content on YouTube and Twitch, and I want to showcase you guys these new things. And I mean, it's a little late now, this event's over, but I want to let you know if you potentially missed out on anything, or to at least if you didn't purchase a ticket, you have something to look forward to, because this will be coming back for free. It just has to. They're not going to keep a Pokemon behind an $8 ticket and then never see it again. At least I would hope not. But yeah, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I realize now that I've been filming these videos in one takes, I always forget to do that. And the subscriptions and the subscribes on YouTube, they're free. They're really appreciated. They go a long way. They help support the channel, and they help me continue to put out the best content that I can. Like I said, we're currently like in a construction phase. You'll notice my lighting was better in this video, so I'm slowly working my way on giving you that A1 content that I want to give you guys on a day-to-day basis. The overall layout of these videos are going to change relatively soon too. But again, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.